Hi, my name is Pratishtha Deveshwar. I'm from Punjab.
My name is Aprupa. My pronouns are she and they.
My name is Rohit George. I'm a writer and a stand-up comedian.
I have recently completed my Masters in Public Policy from the University of Oxford. I am also the regional ambassador for Beti Bachao Beti Padhao national campaign.
I'm a sexuality educator and a content creator.
I'm also a person with a physical disability. I was diagnosed with cerebral palsy, spastic diplegia pretty early on in my life.
I'm a wheelchair user. I'm a paraplegic. This is an acquired disability since 2011.
And I'm on the autism spectrum.
And today we will be reacting to Bollywood's portrayal of disability.
मेरा नाम रिजवान खान है खान
I think it's really affirming to see such a big star in Bollywood represent, my disability.
I love this scene. I love Shah Rukh Khan in general, so I'm a little biased.
मुझको एस्पर्गर्स सिंड्रोम है
And in this scene, we see Shah Rukh Khan introducing himself and his disability at the same go. Straight off the bat, I think it's a wonderful thing to do.
I think especially that bit about, where he struggles to make eye contact, that's for sure an issue with me.
इस दुनिया में सिर्फ दो किस्म के इंसान हैं, अच्छे इंसान और बुरे इंसान.
And I think people need this kind of education in order to understand that disability does not make you less of a human, just as he says.
आप इसमें से देखेंगे ना तो आपको लगेगा कि आप टीवी देख रहे हैं.
I think people often think that I'm able to have these long, eloquent conversations, but when they meet me in person, they see that I struggle with like these basic sort of, social etiquette. So I think having that represented is quite heartwarming.
I think it's a very poignant point that the scene makes, that
They do not always want to receive help or support. They are very much capable of giving it too.
And you are not a terrorist.
Oh no.
I think this is such a powerful scene in cinematic history in general, right? Because it talks about the intersectionality of, let's say, disability and a person's religious identity.
yeah, take a chance on a different able person sometime. It'll be worth it.
It shows the little nuances, right, of the experience of a person with a disability.
His struggle is to come to terms with his life as it is right now. For somebody like me who's had a natural physical disability, my process of coming to terms with my disability was a lot more simpler.
It is able-bodied actors who are playing people with disabilities, and the issue with that is that there are no real roles for actors with disabilities. Then
वो बहुत एंटरटेन हो रही है.
There have been times where I've been like ogled at because of the way I walk.
Why would you just stare at somebody like that for no reason?
मुझे कोर्ट में एक पिटीशन फाइल करनी है, मेरे मरने की पिटीशन.
When I watched Guzarish for the first time, I watched it a few months after my accident. And what do I see? A man who is paralyzed wants to end his life. And what do you think that would have made a 13-year-old Pratishtha feel?
what I don't particularly stand by is the sort of romanticizing and this magical surreal representation of disability in these beautiful scenes and pictures. That's often not the experience of an Indian person who's living with a physical disability.
अंदर पता है कैसी घुटन होती है? You can't move.
This scene is absolutely disgusting. I do not like how disability is equated to being in a box. If I had to give one advice today to my 13-year-old self, it would be don't watch movies like Guzarish.
Fun fact, his name is Rohit in the movie.
रोहित तू रुक जा रावण से छुप जा देखेगा तो डांटेगा टन टनाटन.
Felt like a personal attack at some level.
It's great that there was an attempt that was made to show like an older man with a developmental disability.
Because people with disabilities are perceived to be weak, non-disabled people sometimes assume that they can abuse them in any way that they like.
He deserves to be blessed with an adult mind like you all.
And that changes everyone's perception of Rohit. Not everyone's perception of Rohit, the guys are still jealous. But he gets the girl up with a little bit of his assistance from his mom. So I think this is one of the first subtle arranged marriages in Bollywood.
The plot here really is that, this person is cured by magic of an alien.
There's no alien, there's no magic.
No magic, no magic. I already got the vibe I need.
What it's sort of reaffirming is that you need to be able-bodied and able-minded in order for you to be, desirable, in order for you to be acceptable.
You either have a disability or you have a superpower. There's no realistic perception of a person with a disability over here.
स्किज़ोफ्रेनिया पागलपन है, मेगलोमेनिया पागलपन है.
The word has been weaponized against people with, disabilities and mental illnesses.
Words can make or break. So it is important that you use the right terminology while speaking about or speaking to people with disabilities.
Because of how inaccessible places in this country are, this family is forced to travel in a caravan that is specially designed for her.
Well, I really can relate to this scene because when I was studying at LSR, I had an automatic wheelchair as well.
This is something that we don't realize. Often, our mobility aids become an extension of our body, and when it is being touched, it also feels like, something that is ours, a part of our body, is also being touched.
What is required is wheelchair accessibility and the infrastructure of the country to have ramps, to have elevators. People with disabilities do have crushes. Shock laga?
This scene literally gives me like goosebumps.
It breaks this big stereotype that people with physical disabilities do not have like sex drives, or they don't desire others.
It also points to the fact very well that people with disabilities have the same desires, fantasies, thoughts that probably non-disabled people have.
My Name is Khan offers us a narrative where a person with disability can be with an able-bodied / able-minded person. Margarita with a Straw gives us a narrative where we see, two people with disabilities engage with each other sexually, and that is also quite beautiful.
Hey, you police nahi hai. Out.
I have to say that this is a landmark movie in terms of Bollywood because this has put learning disabilities, especially dyslexia, on the map.
School is such a traumatic time. You are told when you can pee, you are told what to wear.
तुम तो ढंग से लिख नहीं सकते, bloody duffer, idiot.
This scene is absolutely disturbing and heart-wrenching.
The stuff that you might say in a moment of anger might scar them for life.
अरे क्या दिखता है नहीं दिखता है कर रहे हो?
Again, it's wonderful because it shows you everything that is wrong with the Indian education system.
Pressure is that, become more neurotypical, become more able-minded.
Teachers in schools must be very sensitive and must get proper training in order to make classrooms an inclusive and safe space.
It encapsulates his frustration and the lack of ability to articulate his emotions. You can see this child just going and banging his head.
ऐसा कुछ नहीं है, ये सब बहाने हैं पढ़ाई टालने के.
Able-minded people find it so difficult to accept that, disability is real.
It is very important, I think, that parents do not deny that their child is facing challenges in reading or in learning.
He explains dyslexia as a learning disability as opposed to madness.
Like, it brings up so much shame and so much guilt in not just the person with disability but also their caregivers.
These kind of problems they can be overcome with the right amount of help and support from the right people.
So he goes to the person who made it happen. So the importance of somebody who understands you, who understands your disability, who empathizes with you is immense, and you can be that person for anybody.
If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to BuzzFeed India. And remember, there's no such thing as a perfect ally. What is important is that you try, you listen, you learn, you unlearn, keep educating yourself.